Hello and welcome to the FanTeam Golf DFS show. I'm Mark Ferguson, teeing off as ever with Jack Humphrey and Nick Wigan. Or Nick FPL Wigan.
Just for anyone who might have been confused by that opening, my surname is not of Wigan. Just to clarify,
It is.
I might change it now. I might depoll it.
I think Jack had me thinking about your new Twitter handle there when I was introducing
1 week
you.
only.
Yeah,
1 week only. FPL Wigan mod.
Yeah. Anyway, probably should do this. Be a bit more professional, lads. We'll be a bit more professional and ask Jack how he got on last weekend. So how we all doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I've currently got a flashlight blinding me in the face because I was a bit dark in the back room for the build up of this podcast. The lighting in my house where I'm sitting currently is not the best, so I've decided to use my phone's light and show you my pretty face basically. It's, in all its glory. But yeah, I think my eyes are going to be hurting by the end of this podcast tonight.
Fair enough. Well, we'll see if any viewers are offended by being able to see your actual face this week for a change. Nick, how did you get on last week?
Dreadful, Mark. To be honest, the least said the better for my week last week. I've put together a couple of disappointing weeks now, so hopefully we'll turn it round this week in the big one.
Well, this is the week to turn it around, isn't it? And just we got a full house. I had a pretty awful week as well. So we might as well just move on, haven't we? Don't you think? Because
we shouldn't. I'm going to have my say on it before we move on.
Okay, Jack.
I don't think these events deserve a spot on the tour anymore, and I can see why a lot of these golfers want to go and play like live golf events. Compared to what we had at the Wells Fargo, you go to that. So you go to somewhere where the cut is 5 under par, which is just madness in my eyes. You've got big names missing the cut, Zalatoris and Burns, who've both finished at 4 under, I believe. So they were one shot off the cut. If you finish 4 under, let's be honest, guys, you should be making the cut. Like that is just stupid. It's absolutely just. Munoz was running away with it on day one. I thought the score was going to get to 30 under. And again, the previous year, there were 6 players that finished at 20 under or better. And it must have been similar this year. I literally didn't even watch the Sunday. I don't care. Like, I don't care for them events. They don't bring nothing. And I've started now taking them out of my model because they just don't bring anything to your stats either. Because it's a putting contest. There's a reason why John Rahm didn't play last week. Whoever had the hottest putter won, and that was KH Lee on the Sunday. He just stormed through the field with the hottest putter. I've got no time or place for them events on the tour anymore. They wind me up. And I just, as a golf fan, I just switch off, and I have no interest in watching it. I much prefer what we're going to get this week. It's going to be really tough this week compared to what we had last week. So if you like that event last week, I don't know how you're going to feel about this event this coming week. I mean, as a golf fan myself, it'd be great to watch. But I've had my say on it. I don't like them events. I think they're just weird, like in general. Like, you've just got big names missing the cut, and like I say, 4 under, you should be making the cut. I don't care wherever you're playing. You should be making the cut. Just take any of that from last week out of your models. Like we say with the Players Championship every week with the weather, just take it out of your models. Don't use it. It's just not a reflection of what's going on.
Fair enough. Well, as you say, this is going to be a better week for you, Jack. Because it's
and a lot of people will say, "Oh, you've got sour grapes." And it's nothing to do with that. I just don't like them events. They just annoy me.
It's not sour grapes. You lost other weeks, and you've been quite happy with the tournament.
Yeah.
So you know, and FF Scoped agrees with you. It says it was the least enjoyable event of the season. So there you go. You're not the only person. Who thinks this.
I'm not sure on that. The players surely has to come into question there.
Yeah,
that's the thing. These golf courses need to be challenging. You know, like what we saw at the Players was ridiculous. That was just the weather if you was on the right side of the draw, you were laughing at the players. But last week, it's just take it out of your models. I don't want to say much more. It wound me up. That's it.
It was basically it was crazy golf in the end. That is essentially what it was. It's crazy golf. Because like you said, the only advantage anyone had was with the putter. So
I'll tell you what really got on my nerves. I put on Twitter and a lot of people saw it. James Harden was gaining strokes everywhere after the second round. And I looked at bets and things. I was like, he's just a little bit too far back. And then what does he do on the Saturday? He comes storming through the field, gets the fourth. And then on the Sunday, I quickly looked at my phone just to check the leaderboard. And he's at the top. They're tied first. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I bet this?
There was no too far back in this tournament. There really wasn't. There was no too far back.
No.
So yeah, kind of. You always had hope until the cut. It was definitely a week to get. Although it was a good week if you wanted. If you had 6 and 6 to say your season long, it would have been a good week because it was high scoring. Ridiculously high scoring. So yeah. But if we're both happy now, we will move on and we'll start because this is the second major of the season.
Yes, can't wait.
This is yeah, and it's the PGA Championship from Southern Hills. I'm not going to say any more than that because Jack will have prepared a lot of information about this tournament. Gosh, it's been so long since I've hosted. Are we doing that before or after the season long bet?
We normally do the season long first, Mark.
Right, okay, yeah.
God, Mark, that is pure rust. What's going on?
Isn't it? It's completely flustered because I haven't got my admin controls, Jack. That's what it is. Anyway, a season-long team. Season-long team.
So yeah, we're actually in a pretty good position this week with the season long because we've managed to get 6 playing, which we knew would be the case anyway because of the way our lineup was constructed. We've got guys that are top ranked players in the world. So we've got 6 there. We've got Swafford on the bench. And then we've got Ryan Armour, Austin Smotherman and Graham McDowell that aren't playing this week. So as it stands, we've got an underdog of Gary Woodland. As you quite rightly have pointed out today, Jack, you can't choose your underdog unless you captain one of the underdogs at the same price as one of your others. So we can't choose Shane Lowry as our underdog here unless we were to captain Gary Woodland.
It goes on Golf World Rankings.
Yeah, spot on. So worth just pointing that out for anyone that's listening that is wondering why underdogs can't be changed. That is exactly why. But yeah, I mean, I think we're in a good position this week, fellas, and I will be inclined not to make any changes and roll the transfer.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I've said it before, the events that are coming up, the John Deere Classic and the Barbasol, them fields are going to be weak, especially weak, them 2 weeks there in the build-up to the Open Championship. So I think we need to do this all the way to there really now until we can basically build up another wild card for it.
The big question we've got this week then is, who do we go captain?
Read the players through again, just so.
So we've got Xander Schofley, we've got Scotty Scheffler, Will Zalatoris, Rory McIlroy, Shane Lowry, and Gary Woodland. I would be inclined to go with Rory.
Agreed.
Personally.
My God, I'm outvoted. I would have gone with Schofley because he was 13%.
To be fair, Schofley would have been my second. I actually really like Schofley this week, but yeah, I think I'm just expecting Rory to just kick on from the Masters, and yeah, there's got to be a major where it comes together for him. There has to be. All 4 days. Hopefully, it's this. We will see. But he's hoping for that kick on. He finished second at the Masters, 5th at the Wells Fargo. So he is in prime position now for a good performance this week. So I would be inclined to go Rory. But I think if you wanted to get a bit different with it, I think Xander Schofley would be a very, very low-owned captain this week.
It's Rory for me. Captain Rory this week.
fine. Decision made. So
Well, that's a very, very short segment on the season long this week. We haven't really had any questions about the season long because I think most people that are in it will have a lineup of 6 playing players this week. I don't think there'll be much variance on that.
No, definitely. I don't think we need to go over it too long anyway, because in general, if you've got 6 playing, just roll the transfer. You're going to need it anyway. We've said before, them 2 events coming up, that's where you're going to need to have as many transfers as possible, really. So roll them while you can.
Yeah. And also, I think this is going to be a lower scoring event, fantasy-wise. So it's almost like, why would you use up an asset like a transfer for this event? So there you go. If anybody has any questions before Thursday morning, give us a shout. And as ever, don't make your changes till Thursday morning if you can, or as late as possible, in case there's any withdrawals and stuff. Like Bryson or somebody who could potentially be a withdrawal.
Yeah, monitor Bryson. If any of you have got Bryson, monitor him. I think he said he's come out on his Instagram or something. He's going to go and do testing today, I believe, to see if the wrist can handle it. I think he'll play, but just be wary.
I'm not sure anybody would have him in, to be honest, in their season.
No.
I can't think what it would.
No, but I'm just putting it out there. Someone wants to transfer him in, for instance, just be wary.
Yeah. I don't think there's any more obvious withdrawal risks at the moment. Then again, we weren't expecting CT Pan last week either. So
I think Brooks is worth monitoring as well, actually, because he withdrew last week, didn't he? So I think it's worth monitoring. It was just weird. He just withdrew. Like there was nothing. Just monitor it. I don't know. Again, I don't know how highly owned he's going to be this week anyway.
Well, I know the Twitter account to follow if you want to keep up with this stuff. Yours, Jack, as you're on top of all of this for the season-long tracker.
Yep.
And everything, which is fantastic tool, up to date. It's actually on the when you go to change your lineup, there's a link to it on there on FanTeam. It's absolutely invaluable for planning.
It's as up to date as it can be at the minute, and like I say, I'm implementing new changes all the time. I've put in Scottish Open fields on there, which is the same week as the Barbasol, and Irish Open fields, and I've now got the Live Golf events up there. So when we know them fields there, they're all going to be in there as well. Yeah, keeping me busy, that thing, but well worth it. Well worth it.
Imagine how valuable that would have been, Jack, if you just kept it to yourself.
Yeah, could have solved that.
Me and Nick would expect a little discount there. Anyway, let's move on to the PGA Championship. And Jack, it's your turn this week, isn't it, to do the course preview?
It is. I'm back. I'm not hosting this week, so I'm back. So we go to Golf's second major, which is being played at Southern Hills Country Club in Oklahoma. This is a par 70, this place, and it's playing at 7,556 yards long this week. They've really moved the tee boxes back. Normally, for the members, it plays as a par 71 or a par 72, I believe. So they've shortened it down, that the par for the pros this week, and made it longer. There's par 5s on this course that are over 600 yards, so it's going to be long. There's water in play on 13 of the holes around it. You've got a creek basically that follows this golf course all the way around. It's in play on a lot of holes. It guards the greens and things like that. And a lot of the comps I'm getting at the minute are Augusta National, because the greens here are the same type of greens. You've got all them banks and then runoffs on these greens here. And the runoff areas are not nice either. The greens are just guarded by bunkers, and again, you have to be so accurate this week. I'm sure we're going to get into that in a minute with the stats, but so accurate. The greens here are bent grass as well, and we've got Bermuda grass on the fairways. The only sort of easiness for the golfers this week is the fairways are quite wide. But I mentioned it in the First Glance podcast I did on Monday. There's specific landing areas on these fairways. You can't just be bombing it down there and landing it like the 18th hole. I'm going to use that as an example. You have to land it down the left side of that fairway. If you land it on the right side of that fairway, you've not got a shot into the green. It's a par 4. You can't get the green. You can't get to the green in 2 from the right hand side of that fairway. So this is a challenging place. The rough's thick. They've set this up like a US Open this week. And when I mentioned about the scoring earlier, the cut here is going to be like 3 or 4 over. I think that's what we're going to get with the wind that we're projected to get, which is currently favouring the morning PM wave. Again, currently that can change like that basically. So just monitor the wind. But yeah, this is a tough, challenging golf course. The greens are small, everything about it, and the nearest comp that I can get to it is Augusta National, and they've set it up like a US Open. So we're in for an exciting week. I can't wait for it. This is the type of golf I like to watch, and yeah, it's just going to be brilliant to watch this week.
Excited. Nick, what stats are you looking at this week?
So, trusty strokes gained approach, I think, is going to be important this week. Just touching on what Jack had just said there about the course, there's 10 holes that have some kind of dogleg in them. And for anyone who is fairly new to golf and doesn't know what that term means, a normal standard hole will just be sort of a straight line, fairway, green. A dogleg is one where there's normally a curve or a bend in it, whereby the players have got to navigate around that. Usually it'll be lined with maybe trees on one side or something like that. You see doglegs very often, but there's 10 at this course, so that is quite a high number, to be fair. I think on that basis, because of the doglegs, though it is a long course and though I think distance is important, I think that a lot of players will be able to compensate a little bit from approach, because I think like you said, Jack, the landing areas on the fairways here, you're going to want to be in the right spot. You can't just go bombing it off the tee, which the distance of this kind of course benefits someone like a Bryson DeChambeau. But then at the same time, you can't be reckless. So I think the strokes gained off the tee is going to be important, as will the approach play. I normally try and favour a bit of par 5 scoring, but this week, given how long the par 5s actually are, they're going to be 3 shots to the green par 5s minimum, I would imagine. I doubt at 630 yards plus on a par 5. I don't think anyone on the tour is getting there in 2. So I suspect most people are going to be green in 3, and then hopefully 1 putting for a birdie, potentially 2 putting for a par. So, and that's best case scenario, of course. So the par 5s aren't really scoring. I don't really have any interest in them. The par 4s, however, I do. They are quite long, as Jack said, and I think there's about 6 of them within that 450 to 500 range. There's another couple of par 4s that fall just either side of that. I think one's about 430 and one's maybe 520. So I'm taking that into account as well. Par 4 scoring efficiency on 450 to 500 yards this week. As you mentioned, Jack, the wind is benefiting the people that are teeing off earlier on the Thursday and then the Friday afternoon tee-offs, because the wind
at the minute,
as it stands, from what we know, the wind is due to pick up Thursday afternoon and potentially even get stronger for the Friday morning before it eases. So that could be something to consider as well. I think because these greens are smaller and because of the obstruction, shall we say, in play with the bunkers, like Jack said, strokes gained around the green is definitely something I'm looking at this week, as is scrambling. And because it is going to be a bit of a low score, I'm also throwing in a little bit of bogey avoidance in there as well. And not to steal any of your thunder, because I know this is definitely going into your model as well, Jack, but after listening to the fantastic Pat Mayo podcast about the putting and is putting predictable, which I would urge any golf fan to go and listen to, fantastic. I don't usually throw putting into my model, but I have thrown in this week putting 0 to 5 feet and 5 to 10 feet. And there is a reason for that. And I won't steal any more thunder, Jack. If you want to expand on that, you can. If you don't, I will come back to it.
No, go on. I'm going to let you finish that off. Go on. You've led nicely into it. You can have the thunder on that one, Nick.
Yeah. So the basis of it is that putting is obviously one of the less sticky stats to predict because with putting, there's such a high variance. Around the green is another one, to be fair. There tends to be a lot more stickiness, shall we say, on players that are good approach players. If you're good on your approach, you tend to be quite consistent in that area because you're a good iron player. You don't lose distance off the tee, so you're players that tend to gain strokes off the tee. You'll usually find that your good drivers, your accurate drivers there, that doesn't go amiss, but putting can be a little bit erratic one week to the next. You can win an event just by turning up and being hot for 3 out of the 4 days with the putter. We've seen it. So the idea behind it is that can we try and predict more consistency with putting? And there is seemingly ways to do it. A prime example being Jordan Spieth seems to hold a lot of longer putts, which is unsustainable, you could say, because longer putts obviously carry more difficulty. You put that there's a high percentage of players on the PGA Tour that it's said that anything within 6 foot is basically classed as a gimme on the PGA Tour. Anything within that 6 foot range, I think it's like 3 foot's a ridiculously high percentage. 4 foot and 5 foot tend to be quite high as well, and then it starts sort of tailoring off anything beyond 6 feet. So it's weird because you can see some players out there that put really well, sort of 5 to 10 feet, but then struggle when they're within that 5 feet range. Will Zalatoris comes to mind there. He's got an awful putt in motion. Anything within 5 feet, he never looks like he's actually going to make it. So yeah, I think the long story short is that with the putting, I am looking at sort of that 0 to 5 feet, 5 to 10 feet. Who are the players that are consistent in those areas? Because that is sort of the distance you'd expect a lot of PGA professionals to be within on the green. And those are the kind of numbers where if someone's doing consistent over a long period of time, your likes of your Cameron Smiths, Denny McCarthy, you've mentioned on previous shows, Jack, looking at people like that who are consistently gaining strokes in that distance and trying to predict putting performances there rather than looking at the stuff that maybe is just unsustainable look like the longer putts that Jordan Spieth seems to hold.
Yeah, Cameron Smith is clutch with 5 foot putts. You look at his stats there, he's absolutely just clutch with it. He's just outstanding. Just an example there. Another person, if you want to go back 15 years, go and watch Tiger Woods. If he was in 10 foot range, Tiger would make every putt within 10 foot. Automatically. So like I say, it's definitely worth looking at. It's something that I've got in my model this week. My model is big this week, I'm not going to lie. So I've got my most heavy stat is strokes gained on the approach. I think it's going to be really important around this place just because of the greens. I've got strokes gained off the tee, a little bit weighted in, driving distance weighted in because this place is very long. Greens in regulation gained, I've got that weighted into my model. Proximity from 125 to 150 and proximity from 200 plus. I've got that weighted in here as well. Strokes gained around the green, like Nick says, it's going to be very important. That's basically my second heaviest weighted stat within my model this week. Sand saves as well. I think it's going to be really important. Like I mentioned, a lot of these greens around this place are just protected by multiple bunkers. Just type in Southern Hills on Google and you'll see like some of the pictures and just like the greens on like the bunkers, that are guarding some of these greens are just, it's outstanding, really. Bogey avoidance, I've got that in. Strokes gained total, I've got a little bit of that. Scrambling as well, like Nick mentioned. And then I've got the putt 0 to 5 foot and putting from 5 to 10 foot as well within my model this week. It's a big model. I'm very confident with it though. I'm a bit more confident than what I was last week. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this. I have also, I've seen today that this place, I think it was on 13 of the holes, they reckon it might set up for people that draw the ball well. And for people that are not familiar with golf, drawing the ball means hitting it left as such. Slices to the right. All golfers can do that. all these PGA Tour golfers know how
I can attest to that.
Because so can I. It's my natural shot. Yeah. That's the way I hit the ball.
They do it when they want to, though. That's the difference, isn't it?
That's the thing.
So do I, Mark. I take every shot and slice. Yeah.
just some might be better than others. I just thought
Happy
I would
Gilmore
mention
style.
it. I just thought I would mention it. Again, a similar trait to Augusta. Augusta suits drawers of the ball, people that draw the ball. That suits people that play there at Augusta National, and it seems like we've got the same here. And I think that's just the feature of these dog legs. A lot of them, if you're drawing the ball left, I think you can be leaving yourself in very, very good position on some of these holes.
Well, Jack's gone big on a model. I've simplified mine a lot this week, but covering very similar stuff to you guys. One thing I'm kind of if our models are sort of a science, I'd say there's a little bit more art. I'm kind of looking at golf rankings as well this week, because I saw some stat the other day about 19 out of the last 20 major winners or something being in the top 50 rankings, world rankings at the time they won. So, but that's obviously not in the models because that's more of an art thing. That's more of me going through and sort of taking players in and out of pools and stuff. So, yeah, that's that. Talking of stats, Jack, we've got a great. Sorry.
No, so just before we move on, I've got that stat for you there. It says 5 of the last 10 winners of the PGA Championship have ranked inside the top 10 of the official golf world rankings.
Yeah, and I think obviously for majors as a whole, it's a lot higher than that, and that makes sense because they're the hardest tournaments in theory. Anyway, Jack, we've got a great deal going with Fantasy National, haven't we? At the moment,
we do, and we've just been talking about our models, and we've all built our models on this fantastic site. So head over to fantasynational.com/FanTeam, and you'll get 20% off any of their packages. You can do weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever you like. Again, all the stats we use tonight will come from there. Our models are all built through that site. So just head over there, fantasynational.com/FanTeam.
Great. So shall we start building some lineups?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's look at some players.
I'm gonna now go dark because I want my phone. Sorry.
I need you to share my screen for me, Jack. Or Nick can probably.
We are having technical issues this week.
Yeah. Sorry, so here we are. Let's start with the 20 million above age. Unsurprisingly, Scotty Scheffler's most expensive, followed by John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, and Victor Hovland. They're all over 20 million. Nick, who do you like up there?
It's Justin Thomas for me up there. I mentioned last week that he's primed for a win. He's not won for a while on the PGA Tour. He's ranked 5th in approach. One thing I will say is when I've looked at my model this week, and I did this at the Masters, I've chosen to do it again here because I think just a larger sample size just gives more consistency over a long period of time. So what I've actually done is normally I would look at the rounds being sort of last 24 rounds. This week I've actually looked at the last 50 rounds just to get a larger sample size of who's consistent over a longer period of time. So when I give my ranks, I might be slightly different on, like if I'm giving a rank on approach, might be slightly different to Jack's or yours, Mark, this week. But that is because I've looked at 50 rounds rather than 24. So in my model, he is ranked 5th in approach and 2nd in par 4 efficiency on that sweet spot range of 450 to 500 yards. Gained strokes with his putter in his last 3 events. Historically, he has been fairly consistent with his putter, Justin Thomas, but he has had some up and down putting performances of late. But one thing that we've all said that we are going to focus on is play around the greens, of which he's fantastic around the greens. He is ranked 12th in scrambling, 14th around the greens. He's well prepped for this as well, coming off that 5th at the AT&T Byron Nelson last week. So there's a lot to like with Justin Thomas. He's getting there, but just not quite getting over the line. And there's going to come a point where he is going to win another tournament. So I'll quite happily play him again this week. I think that a lot of the ownership will likely gravitate towards Scheffler, Rahm, potentially even Rory McIlroy. And I think Justin Thomas might end up getting a little bit overlooked.
So we haven't talked about this at all, but Nick, I've done exactly the same as you. I've gone for 50 rounds for this because it's a major. I think you want consistently better players, and I think that sort of almost by accident sort of satisfies my golf rankings sort of criteria as well. So I might do 50 as well. There you go.
I think you get a more accurate picture, I think, in majors, because we know that there's some players on the tour that Brooks Koepka's a prime example. He gets himself up for the big events, not necessarily some of the smaller ones. So sometimes if you're looking at a smaller sample size of rounds, you won't necessarily get a true reflection of a golfer's ability. Whereas I think over the 50 rounds at majors, you get a truer reflection, especially because the pool that we've got are all very good, highly ranked players anyway.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about this is normally when I put my notes together and stuff, I'm normally sort of looking around for an extra couple of players, and the reason why this week you're just like you're cutting them because they're all so good. They've all got great stats and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, Jack,
and you can't play them all.
Exactly, unless you've got enough lineups. Jack, who are you liking up here, 20 million and above?
It's the same for me. Justin Thomas, he ranks out number one within my model. It could be a boring show tonight, couldn't it?
Don't worry, I'll make it interesting. Don't worry.
Again, similar to you boys, I've set mine to the last 50 rounds for this week. Proximity between 125 and 150. Sorry?
We didn't discuss this at all, and we've all
no, we didn't. Thing. And I'm thinking I'm going to be different here, and it turns out I'm not at all.
I know. I was looking forward to surprising you both.
So proximity for Justin Thomas, number one in the field, 125 and 150 range there. Strokes gained total, he's first in the field. Again, like Nick mentioned, I'm not in love with what I'm seeing with the putting in that, especially that 5 foot range to 5 to 10 foot range. I'm not in love with what I'm seeing there, but we know putting's it's a volatile stat, right? It can get hot at any moment. We've seen it so many times this year with players. I will briefly mention Jon Rahm. I think I'm going to go back only because I like what I've seen with all of these all-round game in the last few weeks. So the last 5 events, he's gained 6.1 strokes off the tee. He's gained 2.2 strokes on the approach. It's the putting and around the green that's let him down. But in Mexico, which was a long golf course as well, he gained 2 strokes around the green there, and he gained 3.6 strokes with the putter. So if he finds something with the putter, I am not writing him off. He could certainly charge his way through this field and do something. I think he's got the temperament for around the greens as well. If it is going right, we know he can blow up at any moment as well with Jon Rahm. But if it is going right for him around the greens, he's got them. It's just there's something about Spanish players when they get around the greens, they have these hands of just they do deadly things with the golf ball, like no other golf. Like if you ever go and watch back videos of Seve Ballesteros, he's a prime. Sergio Garcia is a very, very good around the green player. They're just brilliant. Olafarble's another one. I could see Jon Rahm winning this week. I think I will go back. I'm certainly going to have shares of him, and I kind of disagree with you, Nick. I don't think he is going to be as highly owned. I think people are going to Scheffler for good reasons, but I've not been massively impressed with what I've seen from Scheffler the last couple of times we've seen him, which is understandable, right? He's just come back from winning the Masters, but I don't think he was particularly great at the Zurich. And, around the greens, last 5 events, he's gained 1.7 strokes. He lost strokes putting at the Byron Nelson. That worries me. He lost 1.6 strokes putting at the Byron Nelson. So that does worry me. I think he'll be popular. He's the world number one. Can he win? Of course he can. Any of these players I think can win. Morikawa, I think I'm going to fade Morikawa. I just don't like what I've seen from him this season at all yet. I need to see something out of him. Maybe a betting pick for me there. And like you say, Nick, I think Rory's going to be popular, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Rory in that 5 to 10 foot range again. He's 141st in this field over the last 50 rounds putting from that 5 to 10 foot range. And he's going to have to, the winner of this event this week is going to have to get hot with a putter. So, and be accurate and just, I don't know. And Rory's one of them players. We mention it all the time, right? He plays for 3 rounds, doesn't play all 4. Does he miss the cut? he could miss the cut quite easily. We thought he was going to miss the cut at the Wells Fargo, but yeah, I think Rahm and Justin Thomas were my favourite up there, but Rahm's my second favourite.
Yeah, I'll make a nice case for JT. He hasn't lost strokes on approach since February 21, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I want to just make a quick shout out for Victor Hovland. We're talking about sticky stats, which is going to become one of our new catchphrases, I think, and stuff. He's top in weighted ball striking over not only the last 50 rounds, but also the last 24 rounds, which means he's just the best at it. Like ball striking is off the tee and approach blended, and so again, I think Victor Hovland might be the least owned here at this particular range. But there you go. He hasn't played that much this year, particularly. Last couple of times didn't do that well, so we'll see. Okay, let's move on. We've got starting at 19.6 million. We've got Cam Smith and Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, Xander Schofley, Patrick Cantlay, Hideki Matsuyama, Brooks Koepka, Willie Z, Sam Burns, Shane Lowry, Daniel Berger. Jack, your turn to lead us off into this range.
I'm going back to Cameron Smith. I think this golf Aussies tend to play well in the wind, things like that. They tend to play well on these harder, tougher golf courses. Anyway, I'm throwing out the miscut at the Heritage. I think that was understandable after what happened at the Masters with him. I think that was. I personally thought he was going to withdraw from the Heritage. Like, I'm surprised he didn't. He went there and committed. Still, fair play to him. But I'm throwing it out. I don't care what. He gained when he won the Players. He gained 11.5 strokes putting. This guy is clutch with the putter in the ranges that me and Nick were talking about earlier. He's second overall in the field within 5 to 10 foot, and he's fifth from 0 to 5 foot with the putting. I think we're going to talk about this a lot now, a lot more with this putting stat since we've listened to Pat Mary's podcast. Seriously, guys, if you've not listened to it, just go and listen to it because it really opened my eyes. I've played golf DFS for a long time, and this really opened my eyes as a stat to look at. But Cameron Smith is clutch, and can he win this event? I think he can. And in like I say, Aussies play well in these conditions. I'm happy to go back there, and I think people to be scared as well after the miscut. But I'm going back.
Fair enough. Also, he's right at the top of this range here. And I think some people will just think I could just jump up a little bit more for a Rory or something like that. I think who has had a few better results recently.
Yeah,
so.
I prefer Cameron Smith to Rory.
Anybody else, Jack? Before we move on to Nick, I mean they're all good.
Spieth is going to be popular, but I do not like what he's doing with the putter at the minute. I'm just trying to find him in my model. Sorry, so he's not even in my. He's 51st within my model over the last 50 rounds, which is not great. But he is going to be popular. Can he win again? Yes, he can win. It's Jordan Spieth. Probably should have won the Byron Nelson if we're honest. But the Byron Nelson was the first event in just over 2 months where he gained strokes with a putter. He lost this. Look at this stat here at the Valero Texas Open. Jordan Spieth, his game was built with the putter. When he was like world number one in the early stages, he was just one of the best putters on the planet. He lost 7.2 strokes with the putter at the Valero Texas Open. I think I will go back. I'm definitely going to bet him, just because of what we've seen, and he's the hottest player on tour at the minute. So. I still don't like what he's doing with the swing, but that's just a personal preference. But he's the hottest player on tour, so I'm going to bet him and I'm going to play him in DFS for those reasons. Am I confident? No.
Hey, at least you're playing him. That's a bit rare. I wasn't expecting that.
He's the hottest player on tour. You have to play him. He's the hottest player in.
Yeah, he's first and a second. Coming up for first and a second, he has to be. Nick, have you got anybody else there, or are you doubling down on these guys? Or
yeah, and just going back to your point there on Jordan Spieth, Jack, I think if Jordan Spieth, when you actually look at his putting, he gains a lot of his putting strokes on just like completely just random distances, like 20 to 25 feet, for example, 15 to 20 feet. If he was holing consistently on that 0 to 5 feet, 5 to 10 feet distance, he'd be cleaning up because every other area of his game is just fantastic at the moment. He's gaining strokes across the board and gaining a lot of strokes across the board as well. Interesting point you made on Rory, because I think there's a bit of an outlier with Rory in that he does tend to put quite well on bent grass. You're right in that distance, that 5 to 10 feet. He is ranked 141st, but jumps up to 10th in the field when you filter it down to bent grass, which is crazy, really, because his actual best putting surface it isn't bent grass at all. His best putting surface is power. So yeah, it's a weird one, but yeah, that's just something worth mentioning, I thought, on that. In terms of the other players I like, Mark, Xander Schofley, I know we mentioned him when we were talking about the season team. He's fourth in approach, he's fourth in bogey avoidance, and his putting between 0 to 10 feet is consistently strong, to be fair. The only concern for me, I think, for Schofley is he's not a fantastic wind player, in that he doesn't gain a massive amount of strokes when it is a bit windy, when the wind picks up. Not too bad in calm and moderate winds, but when it gets to windy AF, he is a little bit iffy.
Couldn't wait to get
but
there, could you?
yeah, I couldn't. After discovering it today, it had to make an appearance. But yeah, I think the thing with Schofley, that like the major eludes him, and we've said before, like, will he get over the line? It's going to start becoming a bit of a mental thing for him, but he does have the game to win here. This kind of course does set up quite nicely for a player like Xander Schofley, because he does gain strokes off the tee. He is good on his approach. His putting's good. So he does tick a lot of boxes here. And again, he's coming off a pretty good tournament at Byron Nelson where he finished fifth. But Patrick Cantlay is another one I really like on this page as well. Fantastic short game leads me to him this week. I can't ignore that. Really strong around the greens. His scrambling's really good. His putting remains one of the strongest on the PGA Tour. Bent grass is by far his best surface as well. He's actually only lost strokes putting 3 times since last year's PGA tournament, which is staggering, really. That shows his consistency with the flat stick. We last saw him at the Heritage where he finished second. And
that's
again,
the 9-iron into the green, 180 yards into the wind.
You just don't attempt a shot like that when you're built like the side of a £5 note, basically. But yeah, he just I think again he's got the game to win here. He's got decent enough distance off the tee. He gains strokes off the tee consistently. So though it might feel like a bit of a boring pick because he is just consistently good, but Patrick Cantlay, definitely not to be ignored this week for me.
Yeah, he's third in my model this week, and Xander Schofley is actually second. So yeah, they're both standing out for me as well.
Yeah, for me too. I think Shane Lowry's going to be a popular pick as well this week.
Yep.
He's one we're always picking. We're always talking about anyway. I mean, look at that. Look at his FanTeam stats. That's absolutely crazy, isn't it? He's actually trying to think which one was it?
If that wind gets up, it's going to suit him massively.
Yeah, he's number one in strokes gained total last 24 rounds as well. So yeah, I think he's going to be popular, and quite rightly so.
He's strangely when you look at his average strokes gained by wind conditions, he plays worse golf in calm and moderate winds. He actually plays his best golf when it is windy. So like you said, Jack, if that wind picks up, all above Shane Lowry.
Yeah, fifth in my model this week. There's not much not to like that. I think he's going to be very, very popular for very good reason. But I haven't actually looked at all the tee times yet. I'm a bit intrigued to see when he goes out. But if he's going out in the afternoon, I might be going back there again, I think.
Yeah, I think also talking about this afternoon and morning thing, if all the buzz is about this morning wave stuff, AM, PM, then just from a game theory point of view, there's always there's always the good players who do. Some good players do quite well the opposite way around and stuff. And if they're lower owned, that's something to consider. Last time I tried to pick this stuff, I got into such a mess with it. I'm probably not going to focus too much on it this week. Anyway, on to page 2. We've got Joaquin Niemann, Bryson DeChambeau, Max Homa, Tyrrell Hatton, Tiger Woods, Louis Oosthuizen.
Jack's excited.
Tony Finau, Corey Connors, and Matt Fitzpatrick takes us to the 60 million mark. Yeah. So, Nick, who are we looking at?
Yeah, straight off the bat at the top of the page, Joaquin Niemann for me. Ranked 6th in strokes gained off the tee, 10th in driving distance. Tends to perform well in windy conditions. Can be a little up and down with his putting, but when he's on it, he is on it. So you just need him on that week, and hopefully this will be the week. He has gained over 2 strokes putting in his last 2 events as well, so it's not like it's an area of his game where he's currently inconsistent. He has performed well the last couple of events he has performed in. Bent grass, again, is his best surface. So, yeah, Joaquin Niemann for me this week.
Yeah, he's good around the green as well over the last 50 rounds as well. So, Jack?
Well.
I'd love you to give a statistical analysis as a way to pick Tiger Woods, but
I'm not going to give you no stats on that. There is none to give you.
There isn't.
The reasons to actually pick him is that he's won on this golf course before. He won the PGA Championship here in 2007 when it was last year. I did get excited earlier. I saw something on Twitter. Tiger's took out the 5-wood out of his bag and he's put the 2-iron in. And I got excited because I can remember watching Tiger when I was a lot younger play at the Open, hitting 2-iron bombs. Just literally, this ball would climb off the ground. It'd be, I don't know, about 10 foot off the ground. It wouldn't even go higher than that, but it'd go out to like 250 yards. Just if we're going to see that from Tiger this week, I'm going to be excited to see it. But no, I'm not going to play Tiger in DFS. I will bet him, but just because of the odds, it's Tiger Woods. I'm actually going to play the petulant child, Nick. And I'm playing him. He's 22nd within my model. And we're talking about that putting stat. Within 5 to 10 foot, he's 5th over the last 50 rounds. He's clutch when he gets into that putting range. Again, I'm going to get obsessed with this, but I kind of like what I saw from him at the Wells Fargo. I know he finished 37th, but he had a bit of a bad day, and I know that can happen with Tyrrell Hatton, and he can have this blow up round. That's why Nick calls him a petulant child, and it is, but every event that he's played this year, he's made the cut. So again, the guy's playing well. If it gets windy, I think it suits him as well, Tyrrell Hatton. The only worry with him is if he has that blow up, and he just starts going absolutely nuts on the course. Strokes gained around the green, he's 11th in the field over 50 rounds. You'd like to see that. That's going to be important here this week. But that would be the only worry. He has that blow up within himself. But I think he'll be really low owned, and I think the conditions will suit him a lot. So I'm going to play Tyrrell Hatton in DFS this week.
If we're going to build a balance lineup, and he's such a good cut maker and stuff, that's kind of what you're after, isn't it?
Yeah,
really on FanTeam. So interesting choice. Again,
it could go horribly wrong. He could have that blow up. Like he can. Like we've seen him snap clubs. We've seen him do all of that. He could do that, and then that could be it. But he will be so low owned. People will flock to Max Homa and Joaquin Niemann over him. And I think I'm going to go the other way and play Tyrrell Hatton.
Yeah, I think it's funny you say Max Homa. He's my favourite player in that range for good reason. Where is he? There he is. Yeah, I mean he won the Wells Fargo. He's third in ball striking over the last 24 rounds. He's proven he can win. He's been, after the Farmers, he's been on a great run. Obviously culminating with that Wells Fargo win. So yeah, I think his price, he's a potential winner. So I do like him, and I think he'll be owned for a reason. In terms, just quick thing about Tiger Woods, do you think he's going to make the cut this week?
I just think it's going to depend on his body. He was already sort of hinting that he was aching already. This is a tougher test than Augusta for him.
It's a bigger field, isn't it? So
yeah, it's a bigger field. I kind of mentioned it with Tom on Monday's show. I would worry if he finds the rough in this place. Getting out of it, I think he could seriously injure himself because it's really thick, the rough here. It's not like what you see at Augusta. At Augusta, all you get is that pine straw, and we know he's the master of coming out of that. I would worry if he finds anything like that. I'm going to bet him. At the odds, I mean, I found odds tonight 77-1. I'm betting Tiger Woods at those odds. I don't care. Like, it's Tiger Woods. I will certainly have a bet for him to make the cut as well. But
20 grand, Jack, on that?
No, not quite 20 grand. I'm not. I don't have that bank balance, unfortunately. Not yet, anyway.
I'll just stick 19 grand on then.
Yeah, I'll just stick 19.
Yeah.
No, I will have a couple of pounds on him. A couple of pounds will go in Tiger Woods' way, and I will have a bet for him to make the cut as well. But okay. I'm not as I'm less confident than what I was at Augusta for him to make the cut here.
Fair enough. Have either of you got interest in Matt Fitzpatrick? Because we always say he does better on harder courses, harder tournaments, the wind, etc., etc. You know, it seems like a pretty decent price if all those things are true.
Yes, finished second at Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Finished second at Wells Fargo, and he gained 7.1 strokes with the putter at Wells Fargo. Gained 4.8 strokes off the tee. I don't think he can win, Matthew Fitzpatrick, but not in a field like this anyway. But I think he'll make the cut. And like you say, Mark, I think the conditions will suit him this week.
And at that price, you don't need him to win.
No.
I just need him to make the cut. No, fair enough. Let's move on to the second half of this. Of page 2 which is Abe Amster, Webb Simpson, Mark Leishman, Adam Scott, Cameron Young, favourite of the show, Tommy Fleetwood, Taylor Gooch, and Jason Day. Jack, who do you like?
I don't really like this area here.
Not even Cam Young?
No, I think he's going to be really popular. I'm going to stay away from Cameron Young this week. This sounds like a weird one. Do you know where I might go? So I might go down to the bottom and I might play Jason Day. I like what I saw from Jason Day. Another one that I like. I'm going back to the Wells Fargo because I think that's kind of the scoring we're going to get this week. I like what I saw from Jason Day. Obviously, he had that blow up round where he sort of fell apart, but he come back, didn't he? He really like kept making birdies on the back nine in that round where he blew up on the front nine. Got himself back into sort of contention, finished 15th in the end in very hard conditions, come 51st last week at that stupid putting contest. That's, he's made the last 2 cuts. We'd like to see that. At the Wells Fargo, he gained 6.4 strokes on the approach, which is a stat that I like to see because it's a hard course and this is going to be a hard course as well. I would worry with the distance around this place and the back for Jason Day. But yeah, I would certainly have, again, I think he'll be lower owned. You're going to get people like Cameron Young. People are going to flock to Cameron Young. I'm staying away this week from Cameron Young. So yeah, Jason Day will be my favourite. Again, Aussie thing. I do like Mark Leishman as well. He's particularly high in my model. He obviously was 51st last week. The only thing with Mark Leishman, he's missed a few cuts this year, hasn't he? It's not been the Mark Leishman that we're used to seeing. He ranks 26th in my model. In that proximity from 125 to 150 yards, he's 9th. So there's some nice stuff there. He's green across the board, really. Just the proximity from 200 plus yards, he's red there. He's 107th. So, but everywhere else is green in my model. I will again, Aussie. They love these conditions, love playing in these conditions that we're going to get here. So yeah, Mark Leishman and Jason Day are my favourite plays down the bottom here.
Why would you pick Mark Leishman though? So over Fitzpatrick for only 0.4 million. That's the.
Well, I'm not going. I'm not going to. I'm just saying. You've asked me to give me a player.
I've always forced you to. No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. But I'm saying, you talk about consistency and cut makers. And Leishman has missed some cuts this year, and Fitzpatrick needs to be making them all. So, it does feel like a bit of a dead area. Nick, can you give us any hope?
No, I'm with you. I don't really like the bottom end of this page. Cameron Young does have appeal, I think, because of the length that he offers off the tee, and he consistently gains a lot of strokes off the tee. Prior to his last couple of events as well, he had been consistent with his putting. So I do have a little bit of interest there in Cameron Young, but like you said, Jack, I think he will be popular this week. I think a slightly less popular pick because he just doesn't really have the, I don't even know what you call it, but like he just doesn't really have like the fantasy scoring appeal. But if you're looking for a cup maker, Adam Scott is right there, and I know your cursor was hovering right around him, Mark, so it's almost as if you knew what I was going to say then.
We've been doing this long enough now.
Yeah, but Adam Scott, I mean, he's nothing leaps off the page, but he's just pretty consistent across the board, Adam Scott. And we say it every time. It's like you get to a major and you're surprised if Adam Scott's name isn't up there on the leaderboard. His last couple of events, he was disappointing at the Masters. He wasn't fantastic at the Byron Nelson. He missed cut at the Players, but that was a funky event. I think it's one that we tend to disregard when we're looking at player performances. And prior to that, he'd had a string of sort of made cuts with the odd top 10 finish thrown in there as well. I think he's just looking for consistency, Adam Scott. But like you've just mentioned, Mark, for the extra 0.4, you've got quite a lot of appeal, I think, in Fitzpatrick, though I do think Fitzpatrick will be quite popular on this week. And I think Adam Scott, he can fly under the radar when it comes to ownership, I think, because he's just not that appealing to pick at. He's just, we've said it before, safe pick, I think, is what Adam Scott is. So yeah, I think his ownership will be quite low, single figures I'm expecting this week.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Well, I knew what you were going to do anyway, say there, because we all say it, especially these majors. You're thinking about bad weather. And Cameron Young is sort of learning his way through majors, isn't he? Because this will only be his second, isn't it?
Yeah, he played the Masters, missed the cut of the Masters.
So, yeah,
but that is a tough one.
Yeah, but he's still learning. He does well on these these tournaments with less pressure. So yeah, if he's popular, I think the play really is to fade him. Anyway, so page 3. Hopefully, we'll find a bit more on page 3. I think we will. You start off with Keegan Bradley, Jason Kokrak, Billy Horschel. For God's sake, Matthew Wolf. That's it. I was going to say Matt Wolf, and it didn't sound right. Bubba Watson, Gary Woodland, Luke List, Patrick Reed, and let's stop with Sergio Garcia. Nick, yeah. Was that a sign from you, or was that from Jack?
That was Jack's sign there, yeah. Yeah, Jason Kokrak for me, or Kokrak, however we're pronouncing it. Another mispronunciation of a name there.
We're going to get sued one day for all
almost like I did it on purpose. It's Jason Kokrak for me. 13th in driving distance, and does gain strokes off the tee. Pretty good with his putting as well, pretty consistent there. Gain strokes consistently on his approach. Potentially going to the Live Tour, the Live Golf Tour. So you can just see him winning an event like this and then just sticking 2 fingers up at the PGA and bouncing, pretty much like Phil Mickelson looks like he's going to do. So there's not a massive amount of substance in it for me, but yeah, Jason Kokrak's ticking quite a few boxes across the board.
Right. Jack?
If you want a cup maker, you're talking about Live Golf as well. Sergio Garcia. He's played 5 events this year. He's made every cut in every single one. This course will set up nicely for him as well. Like I said, them Spanish hands around the green, just they're magicians, Spanish players around the green. Nothing with the stats really stands out. He's 8th in greens in regulation, so you like to see that. He's 4th in this field over the last 50 rounds off the tee as well, Sergio. The putting is where it lets him down, so he's going to have to get better with that. But again, Sergio's won the Masters. he knows how to deal with the greens there. So I'm pretty sure he should be okay on the greens here. Again, nothing standing out with the stats, but yeah, as a consistent cut maker, I'm quite happy to play Sergio down there. I will briefly mention Bubba Watson. Again, no stats are sticking out here for Bubba at all. And if you look at his history, it's cut, miscut, cut, miscut, cut, miscut. So we're on for a cut this week. Bubba can do things with a golf ball that a lot of golfers, I know these are PGA Tours, but like players, but a lot of golfers can't do what Bubba can do with the golf ball and shape it the way that he shapes it. Again, he's won the Masters twice. So the greens won't affect him here. If he can find his way safely around this golf course, I will use the word safely. I'm going to highlight that one. Then Bubba could compete around this place. Again, I think it's more of a dart throw. Like as a player, I wouldn't have a very high exposure to him, but I don't mind using him down here at this price.
I think he's barely going to be owned as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably a bit of a theme for me this week. I'm targeting these players that Sergio's another one. I don't think Sergio will be highly owned. People will look at the name and go, "Oh no, I'm not playing." But he's made every cut he's played in this year, so he's a lock for me. Really down here at this. If you're going to get onto this page, he's a lock for me.
Yeah, that's as we say. You don't need him to win at this sort of price, do you?
Show total list.
No.
Let's just
I finally got rid of him out of my model this week.
Drop the putting stat in, and loot list has dropped like a stone.
Yeah. Shall we? We've been on here quite a while, so let's get this third page done, and then we'll look after that. Then we'll look at the all the other pages together, and then we'll build some lineups. So anyway, we've got Justin Rose, C. Him, Russell Henley, Thomas Peters, Sepp Straka, Mav McNeely, EBR, and Cameron Tringale. Jack, I think it's your turn this time.
So I'm going to play Cameron Tringale. He's made the cut at his last 3 events. He's not ranking particularly high in my model. He's 45th within the model over the last 50 rounds here. What I do like, though, is that clutch putting stat again. He's 7th from 0 to 5 foot in this field over the last 50 rounds. So I like to see that. He's 12th in the field on greens in regulations gained. So again, he's getting on the green when he has to most of the time. So yeah, down here, I quite like Cameron Tringale. I'm not a big fan of the rest of the field down here, if I'm brutally honest. Straka maybe, but he missed the cut, didn't he, at the Wells Fargo? And that I've still got that in my mind, the Wells Fargo missed cut, because it burned me. I had a very high exposure to him.
I think we're all heavy on Sepp, I think, there, weren't we?
Yeah,
we talked about him a lot on the show. Nick, anybody standing out for you here?
Yeah, Russell Henley stands out for me here. First in approach, I've got him in my model. 16th is scrambling, 35th around the green. So not fantastic there, but he's sort of towards the top end, like you want to see. Not long off the tee, but I think because of his approach play, I think he can claw back some of the scoring and level the playing field a little bit for himself this week. Thomas Peters as well. I think the missed cuts will put a lot of people off and probably reduce his ownership massively. But again, he does rank 21st in approach, 23rd off the tee. And he does have high bogey avoidance. His scoring on par 4s is massively appealing. But yeah, I understand why people wouldn't want to go there, because he's only made 1 cut this year, which is the Arnold Palmer, where he finished 32nd. He missed the cut of Masters, the Players, the Genesis. So
he's played well on the DP tour.
He has, yeah. So this is why I'm hoping he sort of flies under the radar. Though we don't have the ownership stats for FanTeam, he is projected low ownership on some other competitors as it stands at the moment. So yeah, Thomas Peters this week is. I think I'll probably have some exposure, not a massive amount, because the missed cuts do concern me a little bit. But yeah, I'm definitely willing to throw him in the odd lineup.
Great. So pages 4 and downwards. Anybody else Nick, that you're...
I love page 4. Sorry.
I know, so do I. I wish we'd whizzed through to it, but we've taken
Said that
so
without
long
opening my
so far.
mouth then.
Yeah, sorry, Nick. Yeah.
Sorry, Nick.
Yeah. Go on, Nick. Tell us how great page 4 is.
No, I'll leave it to Jack. He seemed to love page 4 then, so I won't steal that thunder.
Well, I can tell you guys on this page here, I like Seabez is my favourite at 14.2 million. I just love him. He's just made so many cuts this year. The last cut he actually missed was at the Genesis way back then. He was 12th last week at the putting contest. Come 44th at the Masters, which you like to see. Again, we're using that as a comp course this week. Ranks 25th within my model this week. To scrambling, he's 5th over the last 50 rounds. Nice to see. He's green all over that putting stats that we like. So yeah, I like Seabez this week. Robert McIntyre is another one. I don't particularly have a lot of interest in him from week to week, and maybe I should. I should give him a bit more respect. He's played 6 majors. He's made the cut at every major he's played at. Did not know that until the other day.
No.
This year he's played 3 times on the PGA Tour, and he's made the cut at every one. I believe he was a withdrawal from the Players Championship. I may be wrong there, but there's nothing there for him anyway. But he's made the cut at all 3 PGA Tour events this year, and the Masters one stands out, doesn't it? 23rd there. Again, he seems to love Augusta National and gets it done around there. I'll be going there. Cameron Champ is another one. I think he's just a golfer coming into form, and I think we need to get on Cameron Champ at the right time now. Absolute bomber off of the tee. Ranks 7th, Nick, in that strokes gained 5 to 10 foot range. Cameron Champ. And the other guy I like on this page a lot is Harold Varner. I think he's going to win soon on the PGA Tour. 15th in my model this week. Just green all over. Everywhere you look. It's like 15th. It's between 15 and 20, something like around all that. He's 40th in the proximity ranges there. But it's just green across the board there. I love this page. There's so many players on this page that I want to play. But they're my highlights. Those guys there I just mentioned.
Anybody else for you, Nick?
No, there was no one else for me, really. Harold Werner was my standout on this page, like Jack's just mentioned. My only concern is that he's not as good in windier conditions, according to the strokes game metric. But he is consistent across the board, like Jack said, in almost every stat. I think there is going to come a time, like Jack said, where he is going to win on the tour. I don't think it'll be this week, and he is teeing off in the afternoon, which is an unfortunate position for him. But Harold Werner was, I think, 19th in my model, so I had him high up there as well.
I love HV3 as well. Also, although he's not very long off the tee, Alex Noren's green across the board the last 24 rounds, most things. So, and look at all those cuts made this year. I think he's another great play. I feel this page, we could talk about this a long time, but we won't, has more to offer than sort of from halfway down the second page to the end of the page 3.
Yeah.
I think it's so good. You getting underdogs from here, you're going to be so pleased. Anybody else you want to mention before we start building?
Yeah, one more player for me. Tom's talked me into this, and I really didn't want to go this way. Podrick Harrington. Has absolutely been tearing it up on the senior tour, and I know it's the senior tour, but Podrick Harrington can still hit the ball 300 yards. Has won multiple majors before. Times he has come onto the PGA Tour this year, he's only played it 3 times. He's missed the cut twice and made it once at the Arnold Palmer, but he was tied 4th last year at the PGA Championship when Mickelson won. If you've got to get cheap, I think you could go worse than Podrick Harrington. I think he's a good play.
It's not often we go down to page down to 12.4. Anybody for you, Nick, or do you want to start building?
Mito Pereira, probably the lowest I'd be willing to go at 13.6. Mentioned him last week. Obviously, he had the question mark over the injury, but goes out there and puts in a stellar performance. So he's been consistent this season as well, Mito has.
Look at all his cuts made as well for his price.
Yeah, he missed the cut at the Pebble and at Phoenix, and at the Players. But again, Players was an iffy event. You look at his actual finishes. Farmers, he was 25th, 15th at Genesis, 13th at Valero, 26th at the Heritage, 17th at Byron Nelson. He's just playing consistent golf. And across the board, a lot of the stats are green. His putting has let him down quite a bit recently. He's lost strokes in 4 of his last 6 events that he's played. But prior to that, he'd been really consistent with his putter. Obviously a Corn Ferry Tour graduate, but yeah, he's having a quietly good season, Mito Pereira, I think.
Yeah, I think 2 players who stand out for me really cheaply, other than their putting, but the rest of their stats are great, is Chris Kirk and Aaron Wise. I think they're both very good plays down here as well. But we do need to start building some lineups, I think. So let's do that. Let's start on page 1. What should we start? We all like JT. Should we do a quick JT lineup?
Let's do a Stars and Scrub one quickly. I
think it's so easy to do Stars and Scrubs with those players down.
I reckon play John Rahm and JT in the lineup. See what happens.
Fine. That gives us 14, just under 14 per player. So we need to go down to where we were. Let's go down to where we were.
We got Aaron Wise, 13.8 million.
Yeah.
If you really want to get cheap.
Yeah, still just under 14.
If you want to get cheap, I know you're probably both going to hate it. Go to Harrington.
If he makes the cut, Lanto Griffin's down there at 13 as well. That's quite cheap, I think.
I'm going to need a shower this lineup.
If he makes the cut, you will be loving me.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we just got just under 15 for 2 players. So it's kind of in our little. We need to go down again because just splitting in half. Someone from page 4 is where we want to go. Who do we all like? HV3, didn't we?
Yeah,
we all really liked him.
So that leaves us 15 million dead on.
Yeah, dead on. Which is kind of in his sort of slightly
yeah, I don't like where that's left us there.
No, maybe get rid of Varner and then we can go even lower.
What you could do is, if you really wanted to make it Stars and Scrubs, is I know I've just thrown Griffin out there, who actually was 29th in my model. You could throw Lanto Griffin in, and that allows you to go up to Matt Fitzpatrick.
Oh.
Yeah, and maybe take we got the 200k. I don't know what that. If you wanted to take Harrington out, if you wanted to try and get a better underdog, it's up to you. But
I don't think any of us are looking at anybody at 12.6 particularly. So that would work as well as any other. You would presumably do this twice, Captain Rahm and Captain Thomas.
Yeah, I like that lineup.
I do, and that is the definition of Stars and Scrubs, because we've literally got 2 absolute stars. We've got Fitzpatrick off page 2, and then our Scrubs to fill out the lineup. That's probably the truest Stars and Scrubs lineup we've actually built.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try some balance, shall we? So we were talking about somebody with the balanced lineups. Sorry, page 2 it was.
I think if you start on page 2, we always sort of do that, don't we, with a balanced lineup, and then we try and build.
Yeah.
Throw in Tyrrell.
Yeah, throw in the petulant child.
It's quite hard to do balanced lineups this week, just because we don't.
None of us like. Should we just go to the page we like? We all like page. What page was it? 4, wasn't
4.
it? We all like page. Just go to page 4. We like that page.
There was lots on here. There was Sea Bears, Champ.
I think put Sea Bears in. I wouldn't put Champ in because I think we've got one volatile player in this as it is in Tyrrell Hatton. What about Bobby Mack? Robert McIntyre.
Where's he on page 4?
He's 14. Yeah, 14.2 up there next to Sea Bears. and put
Yeah.
Harold Varner in it as well.
Yeah, again, that's what I'm in there.
And then that should leave us with.
Then we've got we can go to 2 top players again because we've got 41.
Yeah, I like this. This is
So then you can put in
I think Cameron Smith's a lot.
Xander, Cameron Smith. Then you can go up to Rory or
I don't want Rory.
you can have Victor, you can have Xander. We both mentioned Xander, Jordan Smith. We were talked
Xander.
about.
Or Patrick Cantley.
I don't think
Xander?
I think you can make a case for just making again multiple lineups there.
And you still got 2.4 million in the bank. So if you wanted to, I don't know if you wanted to take Hatton out because he's probably the most highly volatile with that.
Then you can get Cantley in.
Yeah, and stick Cantley in.
Wow, I like that.
We tried to build a balanced lineup, and we've built the Stars and Scrubs again.
Well, I don't think that's Stars and Scrub at all. I think I would call that as a balanced lineup from week to week. I would enter that 3 times, I think. Captain Smith, Schofley, and Cantley.
Yeah.
Because of who we all like, though, our lineups are all forming a very similar pattern. Not like most weeks, we like building around the 15s to 16s, but we're not liking them this week.
No, I don't like that range at all. We can try. We can try and build the range. A quick one.
We had we had some co-crack love, didn't we? On the show.
Yeah.
You would Adam Scott, one of your mad plays, but
no.
he's a cut maker, in theory.
Why don't you stick in Joaquin Neiman? Nick Knight.
Yeah, I like him.
Stick Neiman in. What about Hatton? Stick Hatton in this lineup as well. Kokrak, you've got in.
What about Billy Ho? We've not really given him much love, but he's played quite well of late. He's gained strokes with his putter, and he doesn't play bad in the wind either.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
And he's good on bent grass.
And then that gives us we're back up to the top here again, so you can choose any of your Cam Smiths, Jordan Xanders, Cantleys.
See, I would upgrade Adam Scott. I don't think Adam Scott's a good player.
I try to pick somebody in that range, though.
Yeah, put Fitzpatrick in. I'd rather just go up to Fitzpatrick for 4, whatever it is. Yeah, and then that leaves you 20.4 million. You go back to page 1. You can get up to Rory if you wanted to, or Cam Smith. I think I'd rather play Cam Smith again. But
no, that is a good lineup.
Yeah, I like that as well.
How much have we got left over there? 800. You can even you could get rid of Kokrak and actually make Horshaw your captain. Your underdog, sorry, if you wanted to. But again.
Yeah. I like the lineup as it is, that one.
Yeah. So there you go. That's a balanced lineup. If ever that is a balanced lineup for us.
I think the middle one was my favourite.
Me too. I think I agree. That's the one we'll all be entering. Jack, I'll need you to remove my screen.
Oh, sorry.
I can't do it myself.
Tech issues.
Yeah. That's it. I just want to go and build lineups now. I'm excited about this now. I just want to build lineups. Jack, any final words before we go?
No, I've just come and play on FanTeam. Play the Monster. The Monster's back this week. €20 entry, €20,000 prize pool. Come and play. It's great fun. Like I say, like Mark, I'm very excited to get building. I haven't done my builds as of yet. I've got my model set, but excited to do some builds. I will have a final thoughts article coming tomorrow as well. That'll be on the FanTeam blog, so check that out. And I will be dropping my newsletter late tomorrow night as well. So if you've not signed up to that, it's free. Just come and sign up to that. There's going to be loads of other stuff in there, the most up-to-date weather information that we can have. And I will be chucking in multiple team builds within that. So it's free to come and sign up to that. So come and sign up to it as well. Looking forward to a great week. And come on, Tiger. Let's do it.
So much content coming out of FanTeam this week. Jack, it's fantastic. Nick looks like he's looking at a spider or something above him.
Exactly what I'm looking at.
Is it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking at.
Okay,
yeah,
you better
so
do this quickly then, and just wrap up the show, Nick, for us.
drivers for sure, irons for Dole this week.
Cheers, guys.
See you later.
Cheers.